Why, hello there. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Today we want to talk about different worldviews and how that relates to missionaries reaching people with the good news of salvation. I think really the first question to ask when talking about worldviews is just what is a worldview? I think a worldview is kind of like just the system of beliefs and values that you use to look at the world around you. So whatever happens, it gets interpreted through your worldview. The way you think about things is all kind of filtered through your worldview. So it's really kind of a fundamental part of each of us, and having different worldviews can create a lot of challenges in connecting with people who have a different worldview, because we're looking at the same thing from two different, almost opposite perspectives, and it can create some interesting dynamics. So a while back we asked you all to send in questions that you might want answered, and Brian left a really good one. His question is, how different is the worldview there, as in Thailand, as compared to the West or even Africa, for example Kenya where you've been? Does it pose a problem? And how do you bridge the gap? You know, that's a really good question, and honestly it's one that I feel like a little bit like I'm trying to explain an iceberg when I only see a little bit at the top. So keep in mind that I'm not a philosopher and I don't have it all figured out. I don't know a lot. I only know a little bit, but I'm going to share what I do know, what I have learned, what my current understanding is. Anyway, right now tomorrow we're headed out on another trip, so I got to make sure my batteries are charged up. One thing that's interesting is that worldviews and cultures are connected in a lot of ways. You know, some people have observed that there's mainly three types of cultures. There's guilt, innocence culture, there's honor, shame culture, and fear, power culture. So like in the West, it would be more guilt, innocence, whereas, you know, if you do something wrong, you're guilty. If you don't, you're innocent, and if you're guilty, then there's consequences with the law. In a spiritual sense, you know, consequences of breaking God's law. There are eternal consequences, things like that. In honor shame culture, it's more, what will other people think of me? How is this going to look? Will I have honor in a positive sense, or shame in a very negative? And in the fear power, it's basically people do things out of fear of people or spirits with higher powers. So those are just kind of three sort of categories, you might say, of cultures. I think the Western worldview is based very much on scientific proof and being able to reason things through. Me personally, I have a Christian worldview, naturally, and everything is kind of centered in God. So my existence, my purpose in life is because of God. God created me. He has a purpose for me in being here in Thailand and in reaching out to others. I gotta go pay the garbage bill real quick because we're leaving tomorrow and hopefully they're not closed. Gotta go. So I made it in time, paid the trash bill, and now I'm headed back home. So I'm over here at the local Buddhist temple, the closest one to our house. It's, I don't know, like maybe a tenth of a mile away. It's really close. And as you can see, they're building a new building here. And I want to talk just a little bit about the Thai worldview. And I don't understand it really well, but actually last weekend we had a Thai family visiting us. And so I just asked them, I was like, what's the Thai worldview? Like, what's it like? And they shared some things that were really insightful, that we didn't really know before. So one of the things is that they're very aware of respect. So if you're younger than someone that you meet, say you treat them with respect. In like different levels of, like, even government, there's different levels of respect. Some of that's positional and some of that is earned. So if people see that you're a good person, that you're doing good things, that you're living a good life and helping others, then that people respect you more. You know, Thailand is a Buddhist country, and in a lot of ways the culture is very connected with Buddhism. But they also believe that the spirits are very powerful, and they see evidence of that. Most Thai houses, Buddhist houses, even businesses, they will have a little spirit house where the spirit, the good spirit, the protecting spirit is supposed to live and protect their property, protect their house. Or even sometimes my friend told me the ancestors, their ancestors' spirits are, supposed to live in that house and protect them from bad spirits. So it's very, very, very different than anything I encountered, in America. It's just a whole different world here. I think over here in Asia, the whole spirit thing is a lot bigger deal. People see it a lot more. And my friend told me a story this weekend that I want to share with you that's just proof that this battle between good and evil is real and that God is more powerful. So there was this lady that was coming to cook for a Christian school, really big school. She started to be interested in, God and what the Bible said and everything. So she started studying the Bible. She started learning, about God, and she wanted to be baptized. She wasn't baptized. She wasn't like fully committed to God, but she was learning. Anyway, she bought this property in the village, and the property had an old well. They called it the Burmese well because it was super old. Anyway, and after she bought that property, it happened like within a month's time. I forget if it was 3 or 4 men died in their sleep. Like they would go to sleep at night and they wouldn't wake up. And these were not like 90-year-old men. These were like 40-year-old men, 50-year-old men. Still strong, hardworking men. They would just die. And so everybody in the village was like, what is going on? And so they called the witch doctor, and the witch doctor came and called out to the spirits and asked what spirit was killing these people. And the spirit talked to him and said, yes, I'm the spirit that lives in the Burmese well. So then the witch doctor asked, well, why are you killing all these other people when, the owner, the house is right there? And the spirit said, oh no. I can't go into that house. I can't go near that house. The light is too bright. The light is so bright, I cannot go. Like, hello. This lady wasn't even baptized. She wasn't fully committed. She was just seeking. And God filled her house with light, and the spirit could not go and harm her. Like, we serve a big God.
I'm kind of in the middle of packing. We're about to leave on a trip, as in we're leaving tomorrow. But something that's actually really been interesting to me in getting to understand, as I've gotten to understand what people here believe, is when you talk about eternal life, like, it doesn't have the same meaning to them as it would to us, perhaps, because to them, life is just a cycle. It's, you live and you die, and then you have a new life. You could be born again as an ant. You could be born again as somebody of really high status. You never know. And so life to them is just this continual cycle, and eternal life, it's like, what's the difference? What's so special about that? They base a lot of things on a system of, like, you do something bad and then you do something good to make up for it. So it's like there's what you call merit. You do things for good to make merit, to make up for those bad things that you did. So rather than you do something wrong and you're just forgiven and you're cleansed and you do good things out of love, they do good things to make up for those wrongs that they did. Something else I would say is a difference, not necessarily entirely a challenge, but to them, and a lot of people here, I wouldn't say all of them, but to a lot of people, what people see, that's what's important, because if it's people don't see what's good, then they get shame. But if people see good things, then it brings honor. So when it comes down to, we want to help people to understand that it's what's in the heart that really matters. That can actually be a challenge, because to them, people don't see what's in my heart. So how does it really matter? But it's a core of what we believe as Christians, that it's what's in our hearts that really matters. We have a big suitcase in case you didn't notice. But hey, when you're putting all this stuff for 2 people, it could be big, right? The question then is how you deal with these challenges that present themselves, when you're working cross worldview with people. One thing about reaching people of other worldviews is when it really comes down to it, it doesn't matter what they believe or who they are. If Christ is really in our hearts and we're seeking to be like Jesus, He will lead us, God will lead us in ways to reach them. And something that God has been teaching me a lot recently is just the importance of seeking to understand people. Coming to them with a humble, teachable attitude, wanting to understand where they're coming from, what they believe, what they think, and to meet them on a level that will be respectful and winsome to them.
When push comes to shove at the end of the day, I think it is really valuable to, especially as missionaries, to study and try to learn more of where the people are coming from that, we're seeking to minister to. And I think that's a very valuable thing, but at the same time, there's a whole bunch of different cultures, there's a whole bunch of different, ways of looking at the world, and I think the one way that is always effective in reaching people, doesn't matter who they are, where they're from, is the way Jesus worked. And He mingled with men, He desired their good, He won their confidence, and then He made them follow Him. And in the same way for us, we're not Jesus, but when we mingle with people, we desire their good, and we genuinely develop a relationship and a trust there, that is when God can really work through us, because we have a connection with them. And especially here in Thailand, it's very relational. So it doesn't matter what you know until they know that you care. When they know that you care, and then a whole bunch of doors open. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Let us know, what is your worldview? What experience do you have in connecting with people from different worldviews? We would love to hear from you. And let us know in the comments below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to join us, subscribe. And we'll see you next time. God bless.